You can see I'm pretty lucky to have a sponsor like Shannon. I'm Carolyn. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
Hey, Carolyn.
And I'm here to tell you what it was like, what happened, and what it is like now. Things started out for me. Um, I think there are some of these stories in the rooms, but not the norm. So I was raised a Christian Scientist. In that religion, there's no alcohol, no drugs. You don't go to doctors. You don't even drink coffee. It's, just totally not that, because the belief is mind over matter, and you want your mind to be, totally on target and not influenced by any drug. And it's a new age religion. Um, I was, as I said, raised in that religion. It went all the way back to my great grandparents, back to the origin of the religion. It's in a uniquely American religion, and it went along with a lot of those new age religions like Unity and Center for Spiritual Living and others that you might have heard of, right? Um, and so there was no alcohol ever in my house. And I was raised quite a bit by my grandparents, no alcohol in their house. I had no idea what alcohol involved. Like, was it one drink that made you act like I saw people on TV acting, or was it a whole gallon, right? Like, I had no concept. And I never saw my parents drunk. My dad had a major anger problem that you would think he was an alcoholic, but he was not an alcoholic. That, at least not because he was drinking, right? He may have had the gene, but it did not manifest in alcoholism. And so, but at the same time, I'm a baby boomer, and I was raised watching the movies where Dean Martin and the Rat Pack were all drinking and carrying on. And that looked so great to me. And women were getting tipsy and becoming adorable to the men that they were with. And it just looked like a blast. I completely romanticized it. I wanted what they had. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be mixing cocktails while I was driving. And I wanted to drink to excess at every opportunity. And I did eventually. All my dreams came true in that regard. But so I always had this bizarre relationship. And from the minute I took my first drink at 13 at a party, I drank to blackout. And I didn't have a particularly fun time, but that didn't stop me. I mean, I kept it up, and I was the party girl. I was fun. I had fun. I enjoyed it. It was the answer to so many of life's problems for me. Um, until it wasn't, right? Like for many of us, until it started getting in the way of my life. And I when I saw what was happening, I that my life was coming apart. I had been able to, only through some fertility treatment and otherwise other means, I was able to get pregnant. And then I immediately wanted another child. I couldn't do so naturally, and had always wanted to adopt. Always, that had always been a goal of mine. And so I wanted one biological child, one adopted. And when I went to fill out the paperwork for the adoption, that's when I knew, Jesus, I can't bring a baby into this house. I can't, with any good conscience, do that. Not the way I live. And then I looked over at my son, who was 2.5 years old, and said, and I can't do this to him anymore either. Like, things had gotten to the point where it was not as much fun anymore. It was often blackouts, embarrassing moments, just not fun. And I, in a very short period of time, became physically dependent on alcohol. So I could not stop, right? And got sick anytime I tried. And that was a wake-up call, obviously. I was going to give up on a dream of having a child. that I would adopt and that I very much wanted to do. And I had to give up on that dream and then pursue, or I'd hoped that maybe I could go back to that dream after I went to rehab. I went to rehab at Schick Shadle because I wanted nothing to do with any of you people. And I had heard that Schick Shadle had nothing to do with the 12 steps. So I was just going to vomit like they make you do and get rid of this thing. That lasted 90 days in sobriety. And then I went right back out again. And so the and but I will say I was on and off sober, right? And I started seeing things that I hadn't seen before because I was drunk all the time before. I mean, daily from morning till night, and then in the middle of the night because I was going through withdrawals before. So I started seeing very strange things going on in my household, like disappearing money and just what came to be that my now ex-husband, the father of my son, was very, and we had used cocaine together too, but he had a very active addiction to cocaine, much larger than I knew of, and then also oxy, and that was when you could get it on the 1-800-RX numbers, and liens against our house and all this stuff, unpaid student loans, like stuff that was hitting me hard financially, and eventually um, and not working, unable to work because of all that. Eventually, and that created a great deal of animosity between the two of us. On one of those occasions where we were particularly angry with each other, I happened to be drunk, and he called the cops because I was so angry with him for not being out looking for a job, and I got thrown in jail. And I woke up in that, well, I couldn't sleep in the jail. I just sat and stewed in the jail cell and thought, other than terrible thoughts about my ex-husband, I thought, this is where I've landed. Like this, I have to accept that this is me now. And I never thought this was going to be me. And so that was when I decided I would go to any means possible and I would get sober. And that's when I came to AA. And I remember my first meeting, it was as if I had found home. For the first time in my entire life, I sat with people who understood me, who weren't talking about a religion that didn't accept any of these things, but were talking about their fixation and their, and a spiritual life, which was important to me. And I just felt like these were my people. For once in my life, I was sitting with a group of people that I understood. And so for 12 years, I was sober, and I worked a good program, a strong program. And then in the last couple of years, it got less and less strong. I I was working. My background work life was always politics and public policy. I was working for the King County Council. There was one of the council members was discriminating against me. That's against the law. I put forward a complaint, and he set me up, and that's just the way politics are. Somebody loses, and I knew I was going to lose because I was the staff person, not the elected official, but I lost, and I thought I could handle it. I knew I would lose, right? I knew he would win. I knew who Rod Dembowski was. I knew the kind of dirty politics he played. And yet I held on to this resentment. I held on to it and I couldn't let go of it. I just couldn't do it. And I just didn't want to hate him. I wanted all of you to hate him too. And if you didn't hate him as much or more than I did, then I wrote you off. And so my life became more and more isolated. And then the next thing there is a drink and a line of Coke, and the things coming together and just creating a nightmare. And it wasn't constant. I wasn't a maintenance drinker as I had been before, but I became a binge drinker and user. And I was just consumed with this resentment, and which, as we all know, is the number one offender, and my righteous anger. And I couldn't let go of it. And is that how much I have left? That's how much I have left. Okay. So I then, my family intervened, and my son and my boyfriend, and they, when I was completely blottoed, I had blood alcohol contents a couple times going to detox that meant I should have been dead. And all because of a resentment to somebody who I didn't matter at all to, right? And and no matter how right I was and still think I am, I want to live. I don't want to die. And I'm willing to go to any lengths possible to make that happen. And that means an amends to somebody that I really have a problem with. And I'm at peace with that right now because my sponsor and I are working on the 8th and 9th step. And that is a miracle. Just that I am even willing to consider it is a miracle. And just today at another meeting, I had this beautiful spiritual moment where I realized there is no other way. There is no other way for me to move forward in my life and to be of service to others and to help other people get sober and not die the miserable deaths that I've seen friends die. So what it's like now is I have a sponsor. I have service positions. I go to meetings 3 to 4 times a week. I travel quite a bit. I go to meetings whenever I travel. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. That never really left me, but I was so ashamed, and I built up resentments for everything, even AA. Like nothing was. I was just so angry that I wasn't making any sense. But today, all of that is over. I feel fully ensconced in AA and the love that I find in these rooms and the truth, the raw truth of people and the fun that we have. Like today, I was at a meeting and we were all laughing our asses off about somebody, their withdrawals, that they had during one of their times. And I just thought, after the meeting, I thought, yeah, that's what I love about it. I mean, it's so inappropriate. Withdrawals are terrible, right? But only in an AA meeting would everybody get it, right? And how terrible, and the things that you are willing to do to not feel the withdrawals. You are willing to drink again to not feel those withdrawals, even though that's what got you there. So today I attend these meetings religiously. I believe in them. I read the book. As I said, I have a service position. I have a sponsor. My sponsor has now told me that I need to raise my hand to sponsor others. And I'm excited about it, really excited about it. And because of what she's taught me, that it's shoulder to shoulder, and I'm not better than or less than whoever decides that we're a good fit for sponsorship. We get to walk together and hopefully each day have a daily reprieve. I'm never going to beat this thing, and it's dangerous for me to think I can. But what I can do is have a daily reprieve, be an example to others, allow God to take all of me, the good and the bad, as the 7th step prayer says, and let me be a person that others see where they are attracted to what this program offers and to a life that is worth living because they've seen what I was like. I mean, there became a time where there was no question that I was a drunk. I used to hide it for years and years. I hid it, and I can't hide it anymore. When I drink, it's all bets are off. I'm a drunk, just a drunk, and I don't want to be that. I really want a life that includes God as the center of my universe, and friends and family that I love, and that they have a person that they can love, right? That I will let them in. And I'm just so excited for that future. I'm really excited to help other women. Thank you. And I am excited to be part of every single meeting I attend and contribute, and hopefully somebody gets something out of it that was worthwhile. Thank you so much.